Leshka does not forget.
Hey everyone, I'm senior video producer Jeff McCobb, and we are here because in 2019, a little movie came out called Alita Battle Angel. It was directed by Robert Rodriguez, produced by none other than James Cameron, who was also a writer on the film. It was huge in terms of scope. They invented new technologies just to be able to film the damn thing, and then it underperformed at the box office.
I am not impressed.
However, the film ended setting up a sequel, so that's left us in a kind of sequel limbo. We don't really know what's going on with the thing. We know that it developed a cult following after its release, and one of those cult members is with me now.
Thank you for coming on such short notice.
Senior movies contributor Mike Reyes. What's up, man?
Nothing much. Just talking about a subject near and dear to my heart and a good portion of the internet's heart.
I feel a connection to it. I can't explain.
For real, I'm getting lost in a fog of all of this sequel news, and because I got to talk to Jai Courtney recently and grill him about
Yeah, you did!
Grill him about that photo, which we'll get to in a second. I wanted to hop on a call with Mike and really just learn everything I can about the potential upcoming sequel, whether or not it's gonna actually happen. So I'm gonna start with a super vague question, and you're just gonna have to deal with it.
I don't mean to be rude.
Mike, what the hell is going on with the Alita sequel?
Well, officially, not terribly much.
You don't have a winning attitude.
Because, as you had said before, while the movie Alita Battle Angel did make a decent amount of money in theaters last year, it didn't make, Marvel money or something like, it didn't make a big enough profit margin that some may consider automatically greenlighting a sequel.
James Cameron
Because...
money.
Yeah, it didn't specifically make James Cameron movie money, even though he had been developing this for about a good 20, since the mid-90s.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
He's been developing this because Guillermo del Toro introduced him to Battle Angel Alita, the original manga.
Right.
And then this idea just sort of consumed his mind for a good long while, and then finally Robert Rodriguez got it after a really cool session between the two of them. And he was convinced, Robert Rodriguez was the guy.
Yeah.
And then we got Alita.
That's so great.
And it made, I think it was about 450 million, or it was around that ballpark area.
Let me butt in just to get the numbers to the audience. It's 450 million worldwide. It made 85 million domestically, which is the real underperformance there. The international box office kind of saved it because the production budget was $170 million. So this was a big movie. It did make its money back. It more than doubled its money, but domestically underperformed.
Well, that's the best I can do for now.
Even though, and I have the Alita concept art book to thank for this, which, by the way, thank you, Alita Army, for sending that to me as kind of a gift.
I like it.
This was an idea that was being developed around the same time Avatar was being developed.
Right.
And they basically amortized kind of part of the Avatar budget and development with Alita because they kind of developed these two movies and the technologies at the same time.
Right.
So really, I think that's justification number one of going into a sequel, because if we're spending all this money on Avatar and Alita, then Avatar clearly made enough money to be solvent. This could kind of be thrown in as gravy.
Right. They essentially used Alita's production as kind of a testing phase for a lot of the technology they wanted to use on Avatar, and they said they were jumping back, working between both films.
That was pretty intense, huh?
But unfortunately, there's no official sort of movement, and we've, a lot of people have been asked. Christoph Waltz was asked, producer John Landau was asked, and both of them seem to think that maybe there's a bit of a hang-up at Disney because another sort of complication that's kind of sort of gating this off is the fact that Fox is no longer Fox. Fox is now Disney.
The same hand that shapes your destiny even now.
So tell me about the Alita Army itself. Is that a group of fans, or is it really specific to the release the Snyder Cut-esque thing where this Alita Army was invented for the purpose of getting a sequel released?
Not exactly.
From my understanding, the Alita Army started out of bonding over the movie and wanting to see more and wanting to support it, But there are people that, have read the manga. It's volumes of people and content supporting just that what could be a big franchise. The main thing is to get people to see the film and support the movement on a sequel.
You gotta stay focused on your dream.
Because this movie has captivated so many that are in the ranks. Which is funny because they don't even have ranks. It's sort of like we're all fans together in this grouping. The name Alita Army is just kind of like it's a name. It's not like there's any sort of hierarchy or anything. It's just a bunch of people getting together with this movie that just blew people's minds when it came out.
So initially, was that obviously the first film sets up potential for a sequel. That's something they were clearly trying to do. Initially, were the powers that be planning on, is that something they've come out and said officially that was the original plan prior to the first film's box office release?
Well, from my understanding is James Cameron, right from the starting line, was saying that he was going to develop a trilogy out of this. Like, he apparently had this massive script that Robert Rodriguez pared down. I think it was he had got like 600 pages of script and notes. So there was always a sort of a headspace thinking towards the future, especially when you end on this big cliffhanger where we reveal, oh wow, it's Edward Norton that was playing Nova the whole time. And he was one of 3 people that signed on uncredited because they were supposed to have bigger roles later on. There was him, there was Michelle Rodriguez as Gelda, and Jai Courtney as Jagushan, one of the motorball champions.
So I talked to Jai Courtney recently for another film that he did, and I just used some time to grill him about a photo he posted where he was in a mocap outfit, and he said something in the caption about trying on his roller skates or something like that. Which, if that's not an Alita motorball reference, then I don't know what is, right? The fans were stoked. I think Mike wrote an article about it. People were blowing up on the internet. It was this whole thing, and he very directly shot it down and said that it was for Love, Death, and Robots. So I feel like that's the biggest lead that we've had so far. And unfortunately, it came to nothing. Where's your confidence at right now that they are going to eventually move forward with an Alita sequel?
It's still pretty blank.
I am at, I would say, a mid-level right now because I definitely don't write it off. That's surely because look at what has been done with the Snyder Cut of Justice League. Mm-hmm. That was a multi-year campaign of fans dedicated to pushing the message online. And, it just happened that a studio was listening and a streaming service needed content.
You just gotta know the right people.
One could say that those same sort of things are in play with 20th Century Studios and Disney now being one. This could be a hell of a Disney Plus experience if they really wanted to make it that. But I don't think they would settle for anything less than a theatrical experience, and that might be something that holds it back. Okay. But I like to have hope.
You'll never give up.
Do you think that the biggest thing that's really pushing along the sequel is the fact that it garnered such a cult-like following on home video in the year following its release?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a vocal and thriving fandom. And I see so many tweets running around the internet saying things like, oh, I just watched Battle Angel Alita for the first time on HBO Max, or I just watched it for the first time wherever. Wow, why didn't I see this before?
That's so good.
Right.
There's actually people that'll go on Twitter and say, hey, I loved this. And to that note, there's something that the fandom is kind of hoping to do. What they're trying, the next sort of big campaign, because see, the Alita Army has done a whole bunch of campaigns raising money for philanthropic gestures and at the same time pushing the message of a sequel. The latest thing they want to do is get theater chain Cinemark to bring the film back into theaters before the end of the year, because I think they're still doing like legacy titles, titles that debuted earlier this year. And the Alita Army seems to think that one key factor to getting that sequel might be bringing it to theaters and having people show up.
Again, and it's a vague question, do you think it's working?
Yeah, I think it's getting the messages out there. I just don't know who exactly is listening. And see, the real big thing that the Alita Army's been sort of focusing when it comes to their sequel efforts is Disney may not be the only game in town to do this, because Emma Watts, who was a crucial figure at Fox along with John Giannopoulos, both of them were working in Fox during the time Alita was developed and eventually produced. Both of them are now at Paramount, and some fans think that might be a pretty good way to move things along. And I think it's actually a rather clever play, because Paramount's definitely looking to, they're bringing back some of their own properties with things like Top Gun Maverick or the new SpongeBob movie. They're looking for brand recognition. If Paramount was able to seal the deal and get Alita from Disney, that would be an amazing get. Not easy though.
Who has the power to do that?
No, no, I can't imagine that acquiring Disney properties is an easy process at this point in time. They own the world. They own this whole town. I think they own my apartment. So do we know anything at this point about the sequel itself? I know, like you said, there was people that signed on that had planned to return in larger roles. Do you know anything about the plot? What would we be looking forward to?
Well, some seem to think that the plot would be focusing more on Motorball, because that's already been introduced in the films. That was from one of the later books and then brought forward. And then on top of that, the whole reason Alita's motivated to become final champion anyway is because she wants to go up to Zalem and take the fight to Nova.
Finish the mission. Destroy Zalem.
Yeah.
Because, she's lost Hugo. There's this real corrupt power system that she's seen people die because of, and he's the man pulling the strings behind any consciousness he can get his hands on. As far as titles are concerned,
Well, I'm learning names. Do you have one for me?
people have latched on to Alita Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
Because there was an interview that James Cameron gave during Battle Angel where he's like, well, we had to change the title from Battle Angel because we wanted it to be something like Alita Battle Angel, Alita Fallen Angel. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be the naming convention that people are hooked on for any potential follow-ups.
So that's exactly what they seem to be setting up in the first film. Is at the ending. I mean, I haven't seen it since it came out, but doesn't she point directly at Zalem?
Funny thing is, you've seen it. You just can't remember.
Alita takes the pitch for Motorball, and she looks up with the Damascus blade and points it, sort of calling the shot at Nova, and you just see Edward Norton smile, that trademark smarmy Edward Norton smile, and that's like, oh, I want to see you two get into it.
Yeah, like this bring it on kind of thing. I want to get some closing thoughts.
I gotta go.
I know you kind of already touched on it, but do you have anything you want to end on to give Alita fans hope? Do you think this thing will come to fruition?
I think it's a matter of the fan base being loud but respectful, as they have been, and just keeping the message alive, keep pushing. Clearly they've learned something from the Snyder Cut fandom, where philanthropy can meet this fandom goal.
That part's up to you.
And just, I'm there with you guys every step of the way. I want this to happen because you can't leave the story like that.
Yep.
I know they said it was like a standalone experience, but you can't leave that.
I agree, man. I mean, if they're going to make 4 Avatar films...
Like we said, it all builds into the budget and the development of the technology. Why not just keep honing that technology with this series? And you're getting 2 franchises that fans will come back to, and maybe that'll help boost Avatar in the end.
Yep.
I mean, it's going on over a decade since Avatar, and I'm wondering how many people are going to show up for that sequel.
Yeah. Well, what do you guys think? Will the Alita sequel actually come to fruition? Let us know in the comments. Mike Reyes, thanks for being here, bro.
Thank you for having me, as always.
Bye.